Okay, welcome to our newest video. So for this video, you're going to need the artist statement flowchart, and you're going to need your art journal. And before we get into things, I want you to set your journal page up, just as I've shown it here. So you've got your artist statement. You label the page in your journal artist statement, and then you're gonna put number 1, you're gonna skip 2 lines. Number 2, you're gonna skip 2 lines. Oh, I made a mistake. Number 3, you should skip 2 lines, not 1. Number 4, you should skip 2 lines. 5, skip 2 lines. And then after that, you're gonna write title of work, and then you're gonna give yourself some thinking space below it. So go ahead and pause the video and get yourself caught up with me, and then unpause it and let's keep going. Okay, so you should be back from setting up your journal page, and my notebook was hard to write in, so I made another page, and I corrected my spacing, and also I added date. Let's go ahead and add the date there. So we are going to use this artist statement flowchart from the Art of Education to help us to write a really great artist statement. Now, artist statement is super important because it's the artist's one chance to communicate to their audience without being able to speak with them. Now, that's pretty powerful stuff, and we have to figure out the right things to say, because honestly, if we say too much, nobody's going to read it, right? But if we choose just the correct words, the correct subjects to speak on, then our audience will understand what we're trying to communicate better, okay? So I'm going to show you how I would write the artist statement for this sculpture here. You've seen it before. It's the diver that I've done in the past, and she doesn't have a base. She's just lost and alone, and so I keep her around the studio and use her when I need somebody to help me out. So here she is, and we're gonna write an artist statement about her. So you're gonna watch me make decisions and choices, and then you're going to make decisions and choices for yourself. So at this point, your pencil should be down, and unless you're looking with me and you're deciding what questions you're going to answer, okay? So you're going to pick something from each of these boxes. So we're going to start with the number 1 box. And now the number 1 box is the describe your artwork box. Now they've helped us out here. They've given us some choices. So I think you can see in the video there, the word's pretty good. Make sure it's nice and focused. It says here's some questions to consider. Now I want you to pick one question. Okay? You're going to pick one and maybe 2 if you can fit them both into a sentence. Okay? So our choices are, what does your artwork look like? What is the subject matter? What is the title of your work? What elements or principles are most obvious in your work? Now, we're not going to do title because we're going to put the title of our work on our artist statement. So we'll hang back on that one. So I'm describing my work. So when someone looks at my art piece here and I'm wanting to describe it to them, what do I want to say? So I'm going to go with, what does your artwork look like? And what is the subject matter? I feel like those are things I can talk about. So, you know, the best way to write a good answer to a question is to use the question and the answer, right? I learned that when I was in high school 100 years ago. So, what does your artwork look like? Let's turn that into a statement, right? My art piece, or you could say artwork, is of a young girl Now, I'm dyslexic and I spell things poorly, and I've learned that the best thing for me to do is just spell it the best I can and get my ideas on paper. So I'm going to be vulnerable, and if I spell something wrong, that's okay because I'm getting my work done and I have spell check, right? So it's no big deal. So my art piece is of a young girl preparing to dive. Okay, so I've managed to answer, what does your artwork look like? It looks like a girl. And my subject matter, what is the subject matter? I've answered that all in one sentence. My art piece is of a young girl preparing to dive. Oh, you know what? Young girl's not really the right word. Young woman. It's okay to change your mind on words as you go. Okay. I feel like that's pretty good. Oh, I don't know that I want to say my art piece. I might say this piece. This piece is of this sculpture. There we go. This sculpture is of a young woman preparing to dive. I feel good about that. I'm happy. Now, see this? I just wrote what came to mind, and I allowed myself to rethink about it and make alterations and keep changing it until I found something I really like. This is what I want yours to look like. Like, I don't want you to just leave your first stab at it. I want you to read it a few times. Think about the right words, right? This is important, okay? All right, now number 2. We're moving on to box 2. How did you create your artwork? Okay, so you're going to answer at least one question each box. At least one. If you can get 2 in one sentence, then you win, okay? So, what media is your artwork made from? Okay. What tools, techniques, or processes did you use to create your artwork? Okay. Well, as an artist, you get to choose to tell the viewer what you feel is important. If you feel that it's important that they know the specific pieces of material that you used in the piece, that's fine. If you feel like that's not important and you don't care if your viewer knows or you don't want them to know, then you're not going to include that. But your big question is, how did you create your art? Okay? Okay, so this work is made from simple materials. It was crafted by hand without special hand tools. Okay. How did I create my work? Now, I said that, but I could have said I created this work by studying the human form. I created this work by, I don't know, making a wire armature and then bulking it out with foil and then covering it with tape. Like, you could have talked to the audience through your process, but you get one sentence. So this is what this work is made from. Let me think. Is there a better way? Composed of. Is composed of simple materials. It was crafted by hand without special hand tools. Without special tools. Okay. Cool. I like that. All right. So now we're going to move on to number 3. Now, box number 3, what you're supposed to talk about is the big idea. So, what is the big idea behind your artwork? So, we're going to pick at least one thing to talk about. What or who inspired your artwork? Oh, does your work express a personal or social issue? What emotions did you try to show in your work? Oh gosh, this is a big one, right? You have an opportunity to really talk about, what you were trying to say with your work. What helped you have your big idea, right? What motivated you to work so hard on this, yeah? So, my answer is going to be quite different than a lot of you because you don't have a kid. But this piece, I made it because I had watched my daughter flexing on the high dive and looking all proud of herself and had her chest puffed out and her face was a little red and she was really showing off and I just thought, oh, what a beautiful young woman, right? She was like 12 at the time and skinny, and she had her hair up, and it was just a moment that got imprinted on my brain. So that's what I want to talk about. So what inspired your artwork? A memory of my daughter flexing? No, not flexing. Let's see. Getting ready. I can change it later, right? To dive at the YMCA in front of her friends. Inspired this coming of age story. Sculpture of the human form. Can you choose different words? Absolutely. Do I maybe want to go back and rewrite that? Probably. So a memory of my daughter getting ready to. Too many words. Diving. Better. A memory of my daughter diving at, oh, I forgot to say the pool. Okay, not at the YMCA. At the pool. Comma, in front of, we'll make it a little bit more jazzy, all her friends. Inspired this coming of age sculpture. I don't think I need to say of the human form. I'll just go ahead and knock it out. A memory of my daughter diving at the pool in front of all her friends inspired this coming of age sculpture. Now when you're writing like this, you want to use as little words as you have to get your point across. You'd use too many words or the wrong words and it gets muddy. Okay? So it's okay to do the editing. So I feel good about that. Now we're going to move on to number 4. What were your goals for this artwork? Okay, here's some questions to help us. What are your goals as an artist? Did this piece help you reach your goals? Why or why not? Okay, so I feel like my goal was to capture that moment, that memory. I'm going to say that. My goal in creating this piece, we use that word a lot when we talk about a piece of art. We'll say this piece. My goal in creating this piece was to capture a moment where she was bold, sure of herself, and having fun. Okay, my goal in creating this piece was to capture a moment a memory. A memory, period. Oh, I'm going to have two sentences. A moment where she was bold, sure of herself, and having fun. I don't know. I don't like that. A moment where she was bold and sure of herself. There, I like that. A moment where she was bold and sure of herself. Okay. Now, yours is going to be different because your sculpture's not about your daughter because you don't have a daughter, right? Okay, so number 5. What are your overall thoughts of your artwork? Some questions to consider. So these are our helping questions. You got to answer at least one. What did you learn in creating this artwork? Oh, that'd be good to talk about. Is the final piece what you imagined? Good question. If so, how will this piece influence your future artworks? Okay, what are your final thoughts? Final overall thoughts of your artwork. So, what do you think about it? I'm going to say this work exudes narrative, exudes oh man, I want to say something about like energy, right? I don't know. I'm going to keep working on it, right? So I'll keep thinking about that. And then the title of the work. The title of the work, well, you have to decide, but it has to help people understand your work. Now, there are works that are untitled, and you can choose to not title the work, and that leaves the viewer to have to wonder a little bit more about what you meant. But if you can think of a title, and if you're willing to title it, it really does help the viewer. So I'm gonna pull a little Degas here, and I'm gonna call her The Diver, age 13. Okay, so, and then it would be by Ches, right? Ches Jeans Nagel, and really I couldn't use Ches. I'd have to write Cesare because we use our whole name, right? Okay, so this needs to go in your notebook. In the next video, we'll talk about how you should prepare that artist statement to be displayed with your work. See you soon.